Hitting the button. Cool. We're live.
Right on.
How you doing, Corey?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing all right.
I feel like I just need an avatar too. I wish I had one.
Oh, you probably do. I mean, it's probably, well,
Avatar, whatever.
actually, no. Yeah, so for those of you who are hanging out with us or checking this out later, Corey's a good friend of mine. We go way back. We go back to Christian Comics Arts Society website forums from like 2014 or something, I think.
Sounds about right.
Sound about right? Yeah. Yeah. And he's a comic artist himself and does good stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to fill time as I share out the link. But yeah, this is a night. I wanted to catch up with you, Corey, and just ask you some things about. I told you marketing, but really it's just kind of like it's something that I think it's the sort of stuff that I think anybody who does art and posts it online would be thinking about.
Mm.
And I think it's kind of helpful to kind of think through these things. Yeah. So I guess we'll just start off with my first. Actually, you know what? Tell me a little bit about yourself so that I can be sharing the links while you do.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, give you some time to prepare and get things up. Huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, like Matt said, my name's Corey Miller. We kind of got to know each other on Christian Comic Arts Society. I don't really do anything professional, but do like to draw, do enjoy the things that Matt does. So really appreciated kind of getting to know him and kind of just learning the tricks of the trade. So he gave me a lot of advice and helped build on my work. So I've really enjoyed getting to know him. With respect to kind of what I do as a day job, really doesn't relate to art. I actually work at the University of Alaska Anchorage and do their social activities or their student events there.
Cool.
Oversee kind of a gallery, so that's probably about as close to art as you get in my profession. So, but everything that you would typically expect for a college campus and student activities, that's kind of what I facilitate. Homecoming dances, open mics, different things like that. So been really interested actually in trying to figure out how to do some type of online draw together. Back in Chicago on a meetup, they did we always met at like the public library, and there were like 8 of us, and we sat around a table and we just drew for comics actually for an hour, and then towards the last 10 minutes everyone talked about what they were doing. So with COVID-19 and all that good stuff, trying to figure out a platform to do that with the students. Not having as much luck yet, finding something that can maybe offer itself to multiple folks and just kind of live stream everything that everyone's doing. So like they can do some digital art while people are talking, but that's all right. But in any case, that's me. Hey.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks. That was really nice. Hear you kind of summarize things, and you killed a lot of time on my behalf, so I appreciate that. Yeah. So as far as like sharing screen and drawing, the best way. This is one of the ways to do it. So man, this is going to be boring for people, but you can do a share screen kind of feature, as you saw me kind of bring up. Here's my camera, and then here's Twitter, which we're going to look at in a minute.
Sure.
But you can also share a screen for Photoshop or whatever else you happen to be using.
Maybe just to rub with StreamYard, despite the fact that it's so amazing, thank you StreamYard, is I think its max number of users is only 10 or something. So if we had maybe more than that going on, that would just be difficult. And maybe that's okay, right? Because just kind of rouletting between among more than like 10 people would be kind of crazy. So maybe it's for the best. Let's come up with another idea, I guess.
Yeah, I guess there is kind of like a situation where it doesn't really want to, when if 10 people are talking at once, it picks the first person that it picked up audio from, and kind of what's the term? Well, it turns down everybody else.
Well, right,
So,
right. And
yeah.
I mean, that's not so bad. In my experience, of course, this is all like physically, like it's just the artists when they're working on stuff aren't generally like concentrated on speaking anyway. So usually it's like one or two people who are talking while everyone else is just kind of drawing and giving the verbal nod of the head or something like that. But in any case, yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll figure out something, I guess. So, but yeah, this is kind of cool. This is my first time using StreamYard, so I like the dock. That's fun.
Yeah, I think it works. Yeah. Okay, so so question number 1, I'm just gonna throw stuff at you, and then we can both talk about them. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer, as far as I'm aware. At least with me, there's no right or wrong answer. Does art help you overcome past traumatic experiences?
It's a good question, Matt. So for me, I think maybe I won't talk about what I've done, though I certainly find this in what I've done. But another artist I think I really appreciate is Casey Green, for instance. So Casey Green, for those of you who might not know who Casey Green is, I think the biggest things he's done is he's worked on something called Anime Club, was really big for him. He did Back, I think. Yeah, I think the name of the comic was Back. In addition to Graveyard Quest, which was really good. And actually Graveyard Quest, I think, was a really good kind of expose about him and his father. He doesn't come out and say it, but there's definitely this kind of thing he's trying to figure out. It's almost like autobiographical. And then you'll see this as well with, he had some autobiographical stuff going on with him as well. Yeah, Graveyard Quest right there. And you can tell with a lot of, I think, Green's work that he's trying to work out issues of depression and all that. And I think sometimes it's hard to verbalize or articulate what you're going through. Whereas with images and maybe depersonalizing it in a way and kind of projecting it onto something so it's not so personal, it's a little bit easier to do that. And then rather than like have like a live journal, this isn't, what do we got, WordPress or like a online journal or something like that.
No.
People can comment it, and I think when you're dealing with things like depression or something like that, I think having kind of this audience that can speak to you about what's going on is a good way to do that. I think something else that's comparable that I've just been listening to recently, or just been reading with kind of like I find it so interesting. But there's this gentleman. He's real life comics I've been reading for a very long time. The art is not that amazing. He's this gentleman, Greg, who writes this comic, is just kind of uses very basic shapes, and he's been doing it since the 90s and all that. But it seems as if his most current arc, if you will, is kind of addressing some gender dysphoria he's trying to figure out. So, like, yeah, really interesting and kind of really surprising. I would have never expected it, but it's not something I know a lot about or could speak to or maybe advocate for as far as what I know. But this gentleman, or Greg, he put it out there, and everybody's commenting on it, and I think that's where things like art, whatever your ideological stance or whatever you're going through, can be really beneficial, I think, in garnering maybe a community that can support you, and also maybe, again, just kind of manifesting in some physical way what you're thinking on in the abstract. So that's my answer to that.
That was an amazing answer. That was,
Thank you.
Oh my gosh! I thought we could just goof
goof
through these. That's
It's great.
You have a lot of experience talking through stuff. I appreciate that. So I put a Twitter poll up with that question, and 77.6% of people, 58 votes, said art does help them overcome past traumatic experiences. So, and that's creators and readers, whether you're consuming it or making it. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you got a lot of good votes on there too. You got a good amount.
So here's another one. This got a little more controversial. People were kind of, I guess the last one was easy. I think whatever we're doing, whenever we're investing in, whether it's in creating or just spending a lot of time consuming, we're probably on some level. There's a good chance, maybe 77% chance that we're working through past traumatic experiences in some respect. So the next question, would you rather be admired by your peers but have a small fan base, or have a large fan base but your peers don't really care about you? You're alienated from your peers.
I feel like my peers would be my fan base. When would your peers not be your fan base, right? Like
Amazing.
Unless
actually
you love everybody. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Someone actually someone did they asked that very question. They said, aren't your peers your fan base, or your fan base are your peers, and if you lose sight of that, you're missing the whole, like you've just lost the whole game. And when they asked that, I realized that's that's the winning answer for me. But I mean, having said that, I mean, people do understand, I guess, at least popularly, there's this sense that there's people who are, if you're creating stuff and there's other people who are creating alongside you, like maybe they're your peers just because they're creators. And then your fan base would be people who aren't primarily creating, but they're consuming. So they're there to buy your stuff, and your peers are there to be making their own stuff, but maybe kind of, talk shop with you, I suppose. So that's kind of how I was thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So peers would be other artists, I think, and content creators. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think if you have a good fan base, you're going to have other artists who respect you and care about what you're doing. I would think. I don't know if there's I suppose there would be elitism. What's helpful about me is I'm not really in the public eye at all, right? So like I'm not creating things that people are like, oh wow, look at this guy. It's not anything I have to worry about, right? Because I don't know that elitism. I'm not familiar with it. I have no fear of judgment from content creators because I am a speck. I am a flower quickly fading, a wave tossed in the ocean, and all that. So. For me, I guess I would be maybe more concerned about what fans, if I had fans, cared about me. So,
yeah. So we got Justin Dutton. He's shown up. Thanks, Justin, for hanging out with Open Mic Night.
Yeah.
Justin, this is Corey. Good friend, goes back about 6 or 7 years. Corey. Justin, he's got a fantastic comic he's just launched on Indiegogo. Like a kid's sort of dark fantasy. I'd say like maybe like Coraline meets
Toy Story.
There you go. Yeah, really good stuff. And Justin's you're a writer, right? Primarily.
Yeah, primarily. Although it makes me sad because on Twitter, 4th of July, I did a painting, and I'm like, this one painting is getting more likes and retweets than anything for my comic.
Wow. Well, let's look it up.
It makes me sad a little bit.
Oh my gosh. I did. Look at that. Yep, I'm seeing the usuals. That's funny. There's a lot of people who, if Jeff Lastly likes it, you're onto something.
Yeah. And
That's
then
fun.
like a bunch of I've gotten like a bunch of new followers off of just this one thing, and
very nice.
I'm like, that's cool, but this isn't like my primary content though.
Yeah, that's some good numbers. That's some good things going on.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten that much for any of my art. So kudos.
I have never in my life gotten that much, and I'm like, this is so cool. Only I could redirect this to my comic
Yeah.
or any of the comic art.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were chatting about the idea of would you rather have a lot of fans who like you, or would you rather have a lot of peers who like you? And
Fans.
yeah,
down.
fans. Yeah.
Not even
Mm-hmm.
no hesitation, fans. Because
Yeah.
here's the cool thing: is fans, they buy your stuff because they like you. Your peers, they just give you pats on the back, but that doesn't feed you.
Yeah, usually they're kind of broke because they're spending all their money on their own projects. Is my experience. So they can platform you. You know, if they've got a platform, they can be a good word of mouth for your projects. But they're not really. There's not as many of them, and they're not going to spend as much money on you as fans would typically. So yeah, as far as businesses go, yeah, I can understand that perspective. Yeah. Okay, I had one more question. Yep.
Plus, you also got to look at, like, all right, when it comes to comics, right? The amount of people in comics is finite. I mean, it can be unlimited, but it's more finite. The amount of fans in comics are much larger than peers. So, you know, it's wider net.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get Punchy to come by too. I'd like to hear his thoughts. He's you probably interacted with him. He's a pretty interesting dude on the internet, and it's late for him. I think he's English. I think he's British. So.
Ooh, yeah. You know what?
Yep.
I actually have my own English invasion tomorrow. I'm on like 2 different UK streams tomorrow.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Well, who are you on with?
Captain Fuckhead. That's his name.
Okay, yeah. I've seen him.
Yep. At like 5 Eastern, and then with Charlie London at 7 Eastern.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Yep. So
Yeah,
right after work, I got to like
rounds.
rush home.
And Salty Sea Lab, we got another guy showing up. Thanks for coming by and accepting the invitation to open mic. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was paying attention to the YouTube stream. It's a little bit behind. Hey, how you guys all doing? I'm doing all right.
Oh, no. Yep.
Yeah.
Salty, this is Justin Dutton of Unstitched fame. Corey Miller, just old friend of mine and a comic artist. And you know me, Matt C.
Yes, it's nice to be here talking to you guys. I hope you don't mind if I'm a little bit quiet. This is my first time doing any sort of a stream in this, anything like this, to be honest.
Oh yeah. It's all good. It's fun. I think open mics are valuable because it's like you can hang out in the chat and that's fine, but you know, why not just kind of open it up and let the conversation kind of go where it wants to go.
Like, don't worry. Like my first time, I was like, Vicky Bob was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Hi.
Yeah.
I see. I was thinking about that. That's why I got no camera going.
Smart.
So Corey, so you work on a lot of you send me stuff over the years, really, about just really cool kind of concepts and thoughts you're having on strips you're going to be working on. Like, what do you got? You have anything in the oven right now? You got any plans? Even if it's like just a single kind of pitch idea that you're doing for like one comic strip.
Yeah, so I think Matt said we kind of met on it's called Christian Comic Art Society, and so I'm really interested in drawing things as it relates to religion. So I think for me, what I really appreciated about maybe all of you are familiar with Zach Gorman, but Zach Gorman created once a while ago Magical Game Time. And I appreciated that he kind of uses like pop culture and other things. When you can't come up with original ideas yourself, just utilize other people's, right? So Zach Gorman would utilize video games and just kind of showcase a sense of what people are feeling in different settings of these games. So he utilizes a lot of Zelda, a lot of Mega Man, a lot of things like that. So I enjoy doing things like that. I think as far as just trying to offer up some insight spiritually as far as what I believe and maybe what others believe. Utilizing pop culture, I think, is helpful because if people don't necessarily have a sense of Christianity or really anything, right? Like if they don't have a sense of Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever, and somebody was interested in kind of sharing that with folks, I think something that's a little more popular and something that's a little more accessible, I think would be really beneficial in kind of bringing somebody into that. So I've been interested in doing that. I mean, I think when I first met you, I was doing something with DuckTales or whatever. So maybe it was more of that and kind of just this video game theme and cartoons and all that good stuff. So just little vignettes of that. I don't think I have it in me to ever do a series. I really respect all y'all who can do something like that. I feel like I get a few chapters in and then I'm just like, whatever, I no longer have interest in this. So
you're a much saner creator than I am.
Is that what
any of us? Because you understand that you can tell this takes enormous amounts of time with very little. You make very little money. You usually make no money. You usually have to give money away just to waste all these hours making this stuff. So
my hat is tipped.
Yeah, we got Tyler who showed up. Tyler of Draw and Talk fame, my buddy. Tyler, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing all right. Best mic in the house.
Is that? Well, that's nice. It's just a Blue Yeti.
Yeah. I had the Snowball, but then I was like, I don't know. You bring it out, you put it up, and then like why not just do the headset? But then again, the quality difference is, I mean, it just kind of shines through.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So we briefly kind of breezed through the idea of fans versus peers, like we were chatting about yesterday. Probably sick of that.
The question? No, I'm not. My wife came home from work and I was just sitting there on the couch and she's like, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "I'm still contemplating this question, honestly."
Yeah. I saw you saw after we went off, after you had me on your stream, some guy, man, I want to give him credit, but he said like if we lose sight of the fact that our fans are our peers, then we've kind of lost the whole game.
Yeah, I saw you retweet that and I was like that's probably like the best thing. That's probably the best answer I had heard.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and Corey kind of nailed it right at the beginning. I think you instinctively understood that once you start thinking about like a two-tiered system like that, then you're probably missing the boat. If that's how you're thinking about peers versus fans, if you're thinking about the minion, just my fans, they'll just take what I give them, and then the peers are like the people you actually have to respect and kind of stay on the good side with. And if that's how you're thinking about it, then you've definitely lost the boat because
I'm also trying to find a way to get like you want those, but you also like there's this like weird relationship with like the simp community where they feel like, man, like this so and so is giving me something. Someone's giving me their bathwater. I got to give them $1,000. And so. I'm trying to figure out if they consider each other peers or minions because they're like, well, I got something out of it.
Well, when it comes to Simps, I think that's a minion relationship. That's clearly that tier exists, especially when you're starting to buy bathwater from people.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Salty? How does Simps fall in the peer category or the fan category?
Oh, okay. Oof, this is a tough one. Is there okay? So I like to say they're more fans than peers because it seems like how do I put this in a nice manner? When it comes to like Simps, it seems that, and no ragging on them or anything, that it's more of a sort of a blind devotion sort of thing. Like they get something that they find. I'm sorry. This is a touchy subject. I'm trying not to. Because Simps are a little hard to talk about and remain without like saying like something like too derogatory is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I guess you're trying to be neutral. I get it. Yeah. I mean, I guess the idea is that they're it's not just like a super fan. It's someone who's getting some sort of emotional contractual relationship with you.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
sexual. It's
it's definitely something a bit stronger than a fan in terms of just absolute devotion to who or whatever they're. It's like a super fan almost, like a super fan. Oh gosh.
I want Punchy in here, but he won't. He refuses. He absolutely refuses to participate. He just wants to snipe from the chat, and that is his right.
Oh, he got me, guys. Oh.
Yeah. What do you think, Corey? Like the simp factor. I guess there's a lot of ways you can define them. I don't think it's not necessarily like an e-girl who's selling bathwater. That's like the memed version. I guess it's like having a fan that they feel like that they have a very intense personal connection with you, and that's entirely manufactured for the creator's financial benefit. I guess that's how I define Simps. Is that how you think of them, or is it different?
Actually, I don't know if I've ever heard of what you're talking about before. I'm trying to get when everyone's talking about what it was, and
Corey,
it was sexual, and I was like, "What is this? What is this? I don't know what's going on." Like, so someone might need to define it to me, right?
So you haven't heard anything about the whole bathwater thing? This is all fairly new.
Somebody sells their bathwater, right? Is that what this is? And like a devoted fan buys it? Is that what that is? Oh,
yeah. Essentially.
Well, that's something, huh? What I would say is, since I just don't have that much familiarity with this, I don't know if I can come up with an opinion on the spot. I'm also curious because it sounds like you all are all afraid of making an opinion. So maybe people are watching who fit in this category. I don't know. I'll ruminate on that.
No,
if I had to say
I got no problem saying. Go ahead. My bad.
No, that's fine, man. I'd have to say like the closest equivalent I can think of that I'm sure we're all quite familiar with would have to be the sort of super fan that buys all sorts of merchandise. Let's think of like let's think about like those people who like off the top of my head, Star Wars. Those people who buy all the Lego sets, they buy all the lightsabers, they buy all the movies. They have Star Wars themed bed sheets, curtains, that sort of stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, don't drink the bathwater.
Don't ever drink the bathwater.
Isn't there like a label that says "Don't drink the bathwater"?
Actually, I heard something interesting. I heard that like an actual scientist did like a forensic study on the bathwater and found out there's no, as there would need to be if you had taken a bath in it, there was no like human residue, like no like skin follicles.
It was fake bathwater?
Yeah, it wasn't even free.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the best? Yeah, so.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
It's a sad thing. Not good or bad, but it's sad.
Well, I mean, the whole situation is sad. So, I mean,
very much.
But I agree with Salty, though, that simping doesn't have to be just with, like, the e-girls. It can be someone who's like, I buy every J. Scott Campbell cover. It doesn't matter. I will buy every one of his variant covers. I will. So-and-so puts a comic book on Indiegogo. I'm gonna get the highest tier. I want to be in their good graces. And I think that's. I don't see that. I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing. But I think if you're wanting it to be transactional, that's when I get a little nervous. Like, hey, Matt, I'm your super fan. I get every one of your Indiegogos at the highest tier. Just so you know, one day you need to do something for me because I'm like a super fan of yours. That's when I get nervous.
Yeah. Okay, I can agree on that one for sure. Like, there's creators that I won't say I'm a simp for, but when they put something out, I'm more inclined to easily get it because the quality of their work. Being that super fan, going, okay, this person's attached to it. Their track record says this is good. For the most part, but never do I go, hey, creator X, I have all this stuff from you. So, when I release my book, which, I mean, I have a book, I expect you to do the same for me. No, I feel like that's dirty. Like bathwater dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Tyler, I know you've brought this up a number of times on videos, that kind of contractual expectation that I guess you've experienced in the past, right? Like,
Yeah.
Don't expect you to name names, but like just
No.
that's something that does happen.
I did that video where it was like 5 reasons why people don't buy your comic book, and I had your comic book on my table actually while I did the video. But I hate when you're friends with the creator and they go, hey, back my book, and if it's something I want, like I'll get it. But then then if I go, oh, like I'm not really interested, and then they'll say like, well, I backed your book, and I'm like, yeah, but like, I didn't put a gun to your head and tell you to do it. If you don't have to, like, my thing is, you don't have to support my book if you don't want to, but if you do support my book, that's awesome, but don't hold it over my head.
Yeah.
It's
well
just
said.
a bit dirty.
Yeah, that's dirty bathwater right there.
So speaking of dirty bathwater, here's a another dirty bathwater topic. Reviewing other people. Okay, say you're a creator and you're reviewing another creator's book.
Ooh.
All right. See, you can feel it. So
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I think because I've been a fan much longer than I have been a creator, and I also have done like tons of open mic night on like stand-up comedy. I really just don't care about people's feelings.
Yeah.
Like I do to a point, and I like a professionalism, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, this book is the best. No, if there's issues with the book, there's issues with the book.
Yeah. But so what do you do with so there's going to be a part of you who you maybe consider you're on the same team as this person, like you're thinking rising tide lifts all boats. So their success helps my success, right? Like they're on Indiegogo, I'm on Indiegogo, or something like that, at very least. Or maybe they're in CG and I'm in CG, or however the pie gets sliced, right? And maybe I don't know, like maybe it goes farther where like they've platformed me on their show, I've been on theirs, and they've been on mine. So there's already kind of a vested interest in their success, right? So how do you navigate that? I guess you want to be honest, but at the same time, you honestly want them to succeed. So how publicly do you handle critiquing their work? And yeah.
Well, you just critique it honestly, like, so you don't, drag the name through the mud or whatever. Be like, it was a good book, but you were X amount late, whatever. I don't care. Book's a book. But if there's issues of like, hey, this artist, will have good pages and panels, but there will also be inconsistencies. Like, point out that stuff. Because then the artist might also go, hey, yeah, all right, so on page 12, I might not have tried as hard when I was doing like page 1 through 3, and the character did look like a different character, even though it's the same character. There's like one company called like Black Sands Entertainment. They have an amazing book called Black Sands. They primarily are like a Facebook thing, all black creators and stuff. But their lettering sucked in the first issue. Like the first 2-3 issues, I was like, your lettering, or the first 2 issues. And I pointed out, I was like, your lettering sucks. Because you don't have the balloon bubbles connected, and they were just like, when you had groups of people, it was and it wasn't like a crowd, it was like 3 main characters. The white bubbles were just floating there, and I'm like, I don't know who's talking until I read the next page or next panel. And then I can kind of figure out context clues of who was saying what. And stuff like that, show it, tell it, explain it. If there's issues with it, explain it. Don't go, I don't like it. explain it, be professional on it, not don't be like this is horse crap. Explain why it's bad.
Yeah,
whether it's consistency or whatever, and explain how it could get better. That way, there's room for improvement. And if you do think something is bad, list all the things that are bad, but then also list something that was good. They kind of go, hey, this part was good. Do more of this, less of all of that.
Yeah, Matt Siebel in the chat says you give them a fair and honest review. Yeah, I guess because I guess I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been thinking about it for like 2 years now, and if there's anything I've learned over the past couple of years is that all we have as creators is our integrity, our public integrity. And so however we're going to approach this, it has to be from a perspective that people feel they can tell is genuinely honest. So whether it's reviewing a comic and doing it publicly and letting people know, hey, I'm biased. Like, this guy's my good friend. I want him to succeed. And this is what I think about his book. That's one way to have integrity and do a review. Or maybe, take Justin's approach and say, I'm going to have integrity by being constructively honest and without being mean-spirited or something like that. But I'm going to say it exactly as it is. And you can, my people who tune into me can know that I'm going to give you a square deal when it comes to reviewing stuff. So I guess there's a lot of, or just opt out, honestly, just say, I'm going to recuse myself or something like that, just say, I'm just not doing it. I bought it. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I'm going to tell them maybe privately, I'm going to go in DMs, or maybe I just give them a call and say, hey, this is what I liked. This is what I didn't. But I guess there's a lot of ways you can approach it, but it has to be clearly something that demonstrates your integrity, I guess, as a creator.
That's what I do. I don't like doing reviews. I get I get emails of people sending me their comics, asking me to review them, and I used to do reviews on my channel. I think I did like 4, and so that I wasn't biased, I had like a grading scale. And I was really strict on it, and I even said in one of my videos, I was like, I hate this comic so much, but according to my grading scale, it's a 9 out of 10. But I hate this comic so much. I didn't enjoy reading it, but it's a 9 out of 10 just because you can have personal biases. I didn't like the subject matter and whatnot. But then I did a review on one of my peers that, I had him on the show. We talked back and forth, and he said, and I backed his Kickstarter, and he said, I'd love for you to do a review. And so I did, and I read it, and then I did a review, and I roasted it. Not like roasted like a Comedy Central roast. I just didn't like it. And a lot of the things I said, I should have probably said to him in private. And I feel bad, even now, because he hasn't made a comic since. He was like, wow, I just spent the last year making this, and you just trashed it. And I was like, and I wanted to tell him, no, you set up a lot of really cool things. Do an issue 2. You can fix the things. You guys know, you killed me. But then a couple other people did reviews that said similar things, and so and the little group that we were in at the time, we were all saying, no, do a number 2. But he just was like, I can't take your guys' criticism, and I haven't done a review honestly since.
Yeah. I mean, it's powerful. You have a lot of power, so it's tough to wield that, I guess, in a way. You kind of we all want the comics industry to get bigger. We don't want it to get smaller. So, the more people creating, the better, but we also want the quality to improve. So managing that is really tough. What do you think, Corey? You got any insights? Some of these cats are pretty intelligent. They've said some good stuff, but I'm sure you can.
I think what everyone's already said. I mean, even just as far as self-interest and being Machiavellian about it, I think you want to make sure that you're being honest about something, because your word's important too, right? So I would imagine that the individuals who are listening to what you have to say and trust in what you believe are going to take your word. And if you're kind of selling them or reviewing them something that's really crappy and you're just like beaming about it and how amazing it is, that's just going to impact the credibility that you're going to have down the line. And I think exactly what people have been saying, it's important, I think, to be gracious and to maybe balance that with some great things that are going on with the work as well. Because again, just purely from an optics viewpoint, like you don't want to sound like an asshole, right? Like you don't want people to think that you're just a horrible human being who's just constantly trashing on other people. So I think just that balance, kind of good and bad at the same time with what's going on, I think would just set you up for success as well.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
Speaking of integrity, this stream was brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm kidding.
See, I've only seen that memed. I've never actually, I don't know anything more about it than the memes.
Yeah, it's just basically this. There's nothing much to it. It's just Raid just likes to contract out to a lot of people at once. It's crazy. Not much else to it.
What, and you get like a really chaotic.
I didn't quite catch it. Could you repeat that real quick? It kind of lagged out on my
no.
end.
Oh, is the idea that because they contract everything out that they get like a very chaotic game out of that? It just doesn't feel very consistent.
Oh no, the thing is like, and I guess it's gonna go back to like integrity. Is that one of the things I noticed a lot? Oh, yeah, everyone just seemed to like get at one point or another, maybe a few months back, everyone was doing these commercials for Raid Shadow Legends, and the thing was,
oh yeah.
yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah. So you're standing for something that you don't necessarily know has any kind of quality behind it, and it kind of looks like you're just kind of taking a paycheck. Sure.
Oh yeah, and I heard that, and I haven't done it from experience. Like if they did sponsor me, hey, I'd like that. But between you and me, guys, and everyone else on this stream, I don't really put out that much content. I'm kind of a little shy about it. But yeah, from what I have heard is that they do put it out. When it comes to paying for advertisements, they pay fairly well.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, that brings in the shills. So.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like, here's the crazy thing, though. I've seen a lot of people. I do watch a lot of YouTube in my spare time. One of the things I do like to watch are reviews. But even some people whose opinion I do take to heart when weighing, like, okay, should I watch this? Should I get invested in that? And so on. A lot of them were actually doing advertisements for Raid Shadow Legends. I mean, ergo the meme, because it was, like I said, practically everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it brings up some kind of, but yeah, I guess it really just, well, there's something more to it there, but I'm not all that experienced enough to really say the words properly, if you catch my drift.
Oh no, you're doing good. You're doing good. So okay, so I had one last question, one last round table question for you guys. When it comes to swag. There's a lot of swag. There's a lot of people trying to figure out when it comes to campaigns. And Corey, just to kind of bring you in, everyone is like, we make a book, right, on Indiegogo or Kickstarter or however we go about doing it, and we crowdfund it, and then we try and plus it with extras. And a lot of times that, there's a lot of flat swag, so like bookmarks, stickers, trading cards, posters, things like that. And then there's, people get more in depth, like there's miniatures, there's little sculpts and stuff like that. People try and do there's just as many ways as you can kind of merchandise your comic as you can dream up. That's been explored in the past couple of years. And my thoughts are that I think it really does help, but I don't think it helps the campaign. I think it helps the backer when they open up the package, when it actually arrives on their doorstep and they open it up, and then it's a little party in their house that they open up and they're like, wow, look at all this fun stuff. And that makes them genuinely feel appreciated, rightly feel appreciated. And especially if there's a way to personalize it in some respect. I've seen people even write like thank you letters and print them out and sign them and put them in their books. So I've seen, just kind of like handmade sort of touches, signing them, doing a little drawing, things like that. I've never seen, like, I've never been compelled to buy something because of the swag. I think I take that back. I bought Bigfoot Build 1, Doug TeNaples' first Bigfoot build, because of the video game, which I think is technically swag because it wasn't part of the book, sort of deal. But I've never bought something for the swag, but when I get the swag, I think so long as the book is good also, the swag helps me know that I'm getting my money's worth, I guess, if that sort of makes sense, so long as it's functional too. Because there's like functional and then there's like absolutely useless swag too. So I don't know. What do you guys, what's your thoughts on, some of you guys are making swag. Some of you guys, all of us have received swag in different ways. I'm really getting tired of myself saying the word swag. I wish there was
No, you should keep saying swag.
Dun
pulled up a plushie, I think. Is that yours?
Yeah, what's that about?
Yes.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Tell us about swag.
All right, so Indiegogo right now, Unstitched Part 1 of 2 is my comic.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah. And we have a character called the Boogeyman, and this is actually him. He's on like the higher tier where you get him, both covers, and poster and mini print, and the eyes are glow in the dark.
Wow, that's dope. I can't fathom the production / cost on that, so that's freaking awesome.
That's the big dreamer tier, is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
We got 5 more slots available on that too. I'm actually very happy and surprised that
Did you have to source it out, or do you have a little sweatshop going in your house?
Well, I did create the comic for my niece, and she's 3, so she's got those tiny little hands for sewing.
It's the small hands. Yeah. And they don't get tired,
they're just so full of energy.
And if that doesn't help, you can always give them coffee. Worked for me, and I'm coffee.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're very pro swag then, Justin.
Yes.
Oh, hold on. By the way, we have Punchy Sonichu.
Oh, go on.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. How you doing?
Hi. Yeah. So I'm on there now. Am I? Sorry, I didn't realize.
Yep. I just
Is the microphone okay? Can you hear me? I'm very boomer-like.
No, that's
when
working.
it comes to these things.
Yeah, you're coming in pretty well.
Hello. I don't believe I know many of you. I know Matt, obviously. The rest of you are new. So hello, people. How are you?
Hello, Country.
Nice to meet you. It's cool if you don't know me. I'm pretty much just I tend to lay low most of the time.
Okay, fair enough. Me as well. Whose comic is this on the screen?
This is
good.
Detton's
my comic.
Dutton. Okay. Dutton. Dutton. Yes. I like your hat, by the way.
Thank you.
I have one myself. It's quite dapper.
It's a bit English, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit. Well, English, Irish, sometimes Scottish. Well.
Yeah. So Justin, you were telling us. So you're on the pro swag side, aren't you? Like.
Well, yes, especially being like a first-time creator, because I don't have a big-time name to back me up. So, doing more to incentivize people on like going, okay, if I get this, I'm getting this stuff with it. Especially like mini prints and stuff. I'm hoping to try to get them.
Yeah. Like for instance, we got the Jason Brubaker cover here.
Yes.
Corey, you'd be interested in this. He got the great Brubaker.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Whoa. Nice.
Little jelly. Yeah.
Just email them. Honestly, it was that simple.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to be pestering him. I'm going to do a little contractual pressure, peer pressure, simp pressure. See. Hey, buddy.
Will you be including Bathwater at the highest tier? That's my question.
Yeah. This is a beautiful campaign. And I didn't even check. 3K already.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm liking what you're doing with the coloring here. It's very vibrant colors, but nothing really sort of oof. Yeah, all right. So I'm really bad at this sort of thing. So getting a chance to put my thoughts together on this. But yeah, what I'm seeing so far, this is some pretty crazy, great looking stuff here.
Thank you. I have to credit the highly wonderful Laura Limbasamati, who is the artist on this. She has a very wonderful style, and a lot of people keep referencing like Powerpuff Girls, which I mean I can understand it, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I
dig,
girls.
oh.
But
Yep.
sorry.
A lot of people are working with European talent, and I think that's pretty fun and interesting because I mean it's not just bringing in fresh art styles, but I mean I imagine it's more of a challenge because you just got to stick with email and stuff like this.
Yeah, like right when I wake up in the morning is at like 6. She messages me because the time difference. So
Yeah.
early in the mornings, afternoon, kind of when we message, and anything past that, it's next day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And just for the for the interest of transparency, my impression is that sometimes overseas talent charges less. So I'm sure you're
Yes.
paying them a princely sum, but I just that's the impression that I get, which I think is still a win-win because you can pay them more than their fair rate, but you can still maybe more manageably fund a comics campaign and and print it and sell it in the U.S., which is a challenge because the U.S. is kind of a premium sort of place to get anything done. So
Yep.
finding someone else is sometimes what you need to do.
Exciting thing is the art is all done. We have all 48 pages drawn, and we are just doing colors on like the last 3 pages.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, cool. And I wanted to I'm going to bring up Entity. My buddy
snaps.
Tyler.
Oh shucks, thanks. Well, actually, funny that we're talking about swag. So last night on Twitter, I got into a swag battle with 5 different creators. You're wondering what's a swag battle. I don't know if you guys know who John Dillard is.
His name sounds familiar.
He's doing a comic called The Buckler, and so he tagged a bunch of creators and he said sign up for my Indiegogo, and the Florida Man Indiegogo said, well, your pages are 80 pages. That's even longer than the Florida Man campaign, and then they threw their campaign up there in his thread. So then I went, that's nuts because my book on Kickstarter is 100 pages, and I threw my link. And then a bunch of other creators started throwing their links and like trying to like one up each other. So then it got to Florida Man going, well, do you have a sexy postcard tier, a stretch goal? And I was like, no, but I have a trading card. And then someone said, well, I've got metal prints. And then Florida Man goes, well, I've got a beach towel and a lunchbox. And then that's when I tweeted out, I fold. Good job. Everyone go back. Go back, Florida Man, because I can't top that.
I mean, that's
pretty pricey for sure.
That is the beauty of the free market, though, isn't it? Competition driving excellence in your production.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember, Matt, I was watching one of your streams and you guys were talking about what do you like more, trading cards or stickers? I think I threw out trading cards. And I have a hard time coming up with stretch goals because I don't really care about the swag. I'm someone who just I'm like, man, put some more stuff in the book. That's me. So like, I mean, my friend Larry, he does Niobe comics, and he was unboxing a Lady Death box, and he's like, hey, look, there's a Lady Death condom. What am I supposed to do with this?
Oh, wait, Lady Death what?
Condom. Yes,
Oh
that was like 2 campaigns back because I backed, I think that one and like the last one, and Lady Death is the ultimate you get swag.
Yeah, they're the ultimate swag. So like with this campaign, all my stretch goals are doing more stuff with the book. That link right there, by the way, you guys on my Kickstarter entity, you can read the first 20 pages for free, just to see if you actually want to back the book. That's
Copying and pasting in the chat.
Nice.
That's my kind of hey, I don't want to. If you don't like the book, I don't want to disappoint you when you get it. So check out the first 20 pages, and
That's
if you
a great
like it,
idea.
go for it.
Yeah. Did you draw the
it works and it doesn't work. I've had a lot of
Yeah.
people sign up for to get it, and then they don't back yet. So
Yeah.
Yeah, investment's got to be one of the harder things to. And no matter what sort of venture you're going through, getting someone to stay long term, that's got to be one of the harder things you got to accomplish.
definitely.
Well, hey, while we're talking about slag, I got. I'm sorry, swag. One, Dutton. Sorry about that. I guess I was saying the name wrong. That happens to me sometimes. Also, I have to ask, when it comes to creators, to everyone here, I gotta ask, how many people like to use variant covers as a form of incentive? You know, like, okay, you buy before this time and you get this special variant cover of the book or something like that. I'm actually genuinely curious here.
This is my first. I've never done a variant cover up until this campaign. That's the variant cover right there that's on the screen. I've never done a variant cover, but I did for this campaign.
Oh, yeah. I see. So my impression is that they're a little expensive because you have to order 2 books rather than 1, and every time you hire a printer, it costs like $2,000 just for them to turn the printer on, and then it's and then maybe it's like $1 for every book after that. But every variant is another $2K, or more. So you kind of have to gamble that you're going to have the backers for that.
So,
That's a good point.
See, on my end, when it comes to variants, no more than like 3 different covers, which I only have 2. Anything more than that, it just, I don't know. It seems like you're trying to water down your own comic. Where you're like, I don't quite believe in my story, but look, I have so-and-so doing a cover, and I have so-and-so doing a cover, and I have so-and-so doing a cover. Buy one of them.
Yeah.
Or all.
I guess that's kind of like saying, oh man, see, that circles back to swag in a different way, because I keep hiring people who are better than me to do like merchandise type stuff so that I can sell. It's like, well, his book's a bit of a risk, but I really like that artist in their poster or something, like, I want the Matt Cosson poster, so I'll go ahead and shill for the book because I want, like that sort of thing. Like, which I think does kind of help, because it's almost like an endorsement of that creator, even though you paid them to make it. But it does kind of, you get to steal, you get to kind of bite their talent for a little bit, which maybe, I don't know.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. Like my variant cover, I got Luigi Tyrell. He's the artist for Rags.
I was gonna say it had a Rags-esque feel.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And then he tweets about it, and then his team will tweet about it, and that will get me some backers. And so it's just a way. It's just a way to, like you said, bite a little bit out of them. And I don't even like variant covers personally, but my friend Larry was like, you should try doing a variant cover this round of campaigning. So I figured, why not? It's not going to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
It's good to test the waters, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think erring on the side of generosity is a good idea, and erring on the side of risk. I think people appreciate seeing you take risks, because it says you really care about your project and you think it's worth risking for. And I think that kind of inspires. I guess the instinct when you first show up online and you're trying to sell stuff is to try and be humble, which is fine. I guess there's good and bad ways to be humble, but what people really want is confidence, because they're gonna borrow off your confidence when they actually back your book. If you're too humble, if you're the bad kind of humble, then you don't seem confident enough to actually pull this gig off. So, and that goes with all this, variant covers or anything like this, or making actual 10 stuffed animals for your campaign. Like that's confidence. That means you really believe. You wouldn't do that if you were half interested in your own campaign, which makes me more than half interested in your campain.
Yeah, because it makes you go, wow, this guy's doing stuffed animals. Like he's got balls. He's got big balls.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say too. I mean, I was going to say, confidence, as well. I mean, big part of salesmanship is just being able to, BS your way into people's homes, right? Just coming out and presenting yourself as if you're the sort of person who really matters that much that he's going to get, the 3 variant covers and all the stuffed animals. Even if you're not, even if you don't think you are, if other people believe you are, they'll start following along and they'll start going with the flow and they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy must be good. He's got 3 variant covers and everything. So yeah, I think confidence is a big part of it. As a consumer myself, I don't produce comic books. My girlfriend's been planning on starting that. But we do the convention scene every year, except for this year, obviously. What with the apocalypse happening and everything, but
it's just a highly infectious virus.
Just a little bit of a deadly virus. But before the plague started, we do the convention scene and we go around. We'd meet all the comic book artists and the anime artists and the manga artists. Professionals and semi-professionals and just randos on DA. And it was always the ones that were really bold that stood out, the ones that were always trying new things and getting weird stuff in their booths. I remember one year there was an individual who, they were rather talented artists. They weren't the best artists there. But they had done these 3D hologram prints of like One Punch Man characters, right? And you notice it from across the room, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's really bold and brave, and that's not something I've seen before. And you just immediately gravitate towards that one artist, right? There's like 30, 40, 100 artists in the hall, but you see something like that, you see that degree of confidence, and it helps you to stand out, right? So that'd be where I would come with it. I'd agree with Nat in that, I mean, humility. Personally, I'm very humble. To a fault. I'm actually kind of neurotic, which is one of the reasons why I don't think I'll ever be a professional comic book artist. But people who are willing to do that, take that step and spend a little bit of extra money just to do the variant comic book covers, you might fail. It might be very bad for you, but you're probably going to fail if you don't, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
you have a much better chance going forward.
Seeing Matt Siebel's comment, which I know you highlighted a moment ago on the variant covers, I honestly believe, so if you have a variant cover by another artist, your main cover, and like for Stitch, my main cover is done by Laura as well. What you see in the trailer, like that gorgeous purple cover, having the main cover be the same artist as the interior cover, to me is what like it should be, and then variant covers are just like, hey, guest artist or whatever. It shouldn't, I'm not a big fan of hey, I paid like Greg Capullo to do a cover, and then the inside just doesn't look anything like that at all. But boom, that Greg Capullo cover, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I never really thought about that.
I mean, it's tricky because I feel like outside of the U.S. market, you could say this about almost everything. The U.S. market is different, right? When it comes to comics, and variant covers are a big deal here within the DC Marvel, fan base, and people are kind of used to it here, or like, and I guess like people who have come out from DC Marvel and have dipped their toes into whether creating or consuming crowdfunded stuff or indie stuff, I think they're taking that kind of sensibility with them and bringing them out into this sphere, which I think is cool. But it is, I guess it's something that you can't necessarily take for granted, that just because we're used to seeing variant covers, at the local comics store, like on the, on the racks, it doesn't mean that, someone who kind of grew up on webcomics or something like this, or on Hergé or something in Europe, is going to dig the variant cover approach. Or maybe they just need more explanation. Like it's not an assumed market, I guess. You have to kind of stoke the market to get kind of interested and to understand why the cover looks different than the interior pages. Because I can see why that's a normal thing. If you come from a very particular place, like if you grew up on Spider-Man, that's a normal thing. But if you're coming from a different perspective, you might need a little bit of coaching or understanding of, like, this isn't us trying to lie to you. This is us trying to give you like two artists for one, I guess.
When I got into, oh, sorry, go for it.
Sorry, I just had a question about that. Possibly also a point, depending on the answer to the question. But with these variant cover comic books, where are you intending to sell them? Are they going to be going to like brick and mortar stores, if any survive, or are they going to be sold online?
All right, so for me, it's both, because on Stitch, I do have a retail bundle, which is like 6 comics and 6 mini prints, and it's like 3 of each cover. So my comic shop does back the retail bundle, and it's
Nice.
like US only. They get 3 of Laura's cover, 3 of Jason Brubaker's cover, 6 mini prints that will go behind the back and board, and unlike others, I'm offering like a discount on that tier and full returnability and buyback. So if like any comic shop does back it and they can't sell the books, they can email me. I will buy them back, and like they can just send back the books to me if they want.
Okay, that's good. But would most of the sales though you're expecting to come online? Would that be correct?
Yeah, most of the sales, because on Indiegogo, would be online. And right now I have like one retail bundle that has been purchased.
Okay, well, because you see, the thing that I was thinking, I can see what the other Matt Seibel, is it Sybil? Seibel. He does raise a good point there. But what I would say would be, if you're buying these comics online rather than in the store, the cover might not be the first thing you see. I mean, it might be one of the last things you see. So you'd already be aware of the interior. You'd already be aware of the artist and the writer. And you'd probably be aware that this variant cover is just a variant cover. Whereas if you went into a brick and mortar store, for example, and you're just looking around, then that would be more fraudy. I personally wouldn't call it fraud, but I don't really go to brick and mortar stores, so I don't know if I'm not the best person to ask about it. But I think specifically online, particularly when you had your like Indiegogo pages up for all of you, there was plenty of interior art, and people who go there know what they're getting already up front, right? So I would say in that case, I wouldn't worry too much about fraud. I would be a little bit more concerned when you start selling in brick and mortar. But again, who knows if there's going to be that for very much longer in the future. So
the brick and mortar place just a few blocks away from where I am right now, it closed down. It was there for where it was about 3 months. It just closed down quite recently. It's actually quite sad. But I guess I can understand what I posted that earlier said, that and expanding on Punchy's point. Yeah, it does sort of like when you're looking through comics in a brick and mortar store, the first thing you are going to notice is, well, of course, the front cover of it, whatever artwork you have on the front cover there. And I guess Yeah, now that it's been again, Punchy's kind of explained it in a pretty good way. It would sort of give the wrong impression, like, oh man, this looks like such a really cool comic. But then you open up, and because it's a variant cover, the inside content looks completely different from the stuff on the cover there. And I guess, yeah, like you said, it's not so much fraud, but it would certainly like definitely give like perhaps the wrong impression on what the style is going to look like going forward. And unfortunately, I know as much as we love people to focus more on the quality of the writing, unfortunately, the quality of the art is something that also has to be taken into account when trying to put. Well, when you guys are trying to put your work out there, I'm not much of a comic artist myself, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I guess the interior art can be a surprise, but it has to be a nice surprise. It can't be like a surprise, and you can't.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, and you can't. The thing that I hate, like I'm fine with different covers at a brick and mortar so long as I can open it up and check the inside, which is what I'm going to do before I buy anything. I'm going to flip through it, and if I can't flip through it, if it's in one of those plastic wrap sealer type dealios, like I don't care if it's the same artist on the cover or not. Like the fact that you don't trust me to make a purchase if I like something means that I'm definitely not buying it. So that's just usually what irks me.
But that's all that it. But it goes to the fact of are you confident in your product? So I had a couple people say like Tyler, why are you giving away the first 20 pages for free? Like that's so dumb. And I've done that on every one of my campaigns.
Yeah.
And it's my way of saying like I'm confident that my story is good enough that if you back it, if you read those free 20 pages, you'll come back and. It's just it's all about confidence because I'm the same way. If there's a plastic thing and it makes me go, oh, you don't trust me, like you don't trust your own product that I won't buy it. It has to remain a secret. I think a lot of more more comics campaigns and more brick and mortar stores, they need to do more stuff to show off that confidence. One of my biggest pet peeves right now in Indiegogos are like $20 shipping for like just the standard book, and I'm like, gosh, I can't pay $25 for your book and then another $20 in shipping, and so like for my current campaign, it's a $20 book, 100 pages, and it's free shipping, and that's like I'm testing the waters, but that's my test right now on confidence. Like I'm trying to give you like the best deal. But it's hard. It's interesting to see because some people they're like, like it's not really making a big deal, the whole free shipping, so I might not do it next time.
I think now I feel bad because I do have like $20 shipping on like European nations.
Oh yeah, you gotta do that.
European,
you gotta do that.
Yeah.
You have to do that.
But like US, I think I have I have like 8 or 10, I think. For US.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Like,
but like
I have 20 on Europe, and I'm like, or like actually everything outside the US. I'm like, oh.
We're not here to rag on people who put out, and they had to like set up shipping costs on their products here. We're here to just say that yes, there's definitely got to be something that that can be done, that creators can do, that definitely gives off a very strong, confident impression for their work. Like, yes, I am absolutely certain my work is good. I'm absolutely certain that you'll enjoy it, and this is me proving it. And that can be done in a multitude of ways, like what Tyler's talking about with like a reduction in shipping cost, or with Dutton's. I'm sorry, again, I was saying Dutton. I guess it's just like a inflection on my end here. With Dutton's, with the many different little swag he's offering, like that's plushie he's putting out. That looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
But yeah, no problem. Yeah, there's many different ways, like swag, different shipping costs, variant covers, many different ways that comic artists can instill the sense of confidence in their work. And honestly, I do not believe that there's any one way that is better than another. I mean, they're all each have their own pluses and minuses, pros and cons, and different areas where they work.
Yeah.
Just a quick point, because I noticed you threw up a couple comments by Fitzfactor, I believe. Did everyone get a chance to read those? Yeah, because that was actually something that I was thinking about a few minutes ago. Not necessarily Ghibli, but with other like classic like kung fu movies and action movies. I don't know if any of you remember those, like the old VHS days. But they used to have covers that were completely different from what you actually got in the film, and it got so bad that it became, you know, like a '90s meme. Essentially, you would have, you know, these big fanciful scenes of, you know, beautiful women and death robots and explosions and all, you know, cool things going on, and then you turn on the movie and it's just like a couple guys sitting in a room for half hour yammering back and forth. You know, and I think, I mean, I was very young back then, so I wasn't super into that whole scene. But the impression that I got was that people kind of expected it and were savvy enough to work around it. Now, earlier Matt had mentioned that variant covers are very common in comic books these days. So my assumption would be that you know, comic book collectors, you know, who are familiar with the scene right now, would be maybe jaded enough. There's probably a less negative word to describe that, but I'll just go with like jaded enough to assume that the cover doesn't necessarily reflect what you get on the inside. Because again, this has happened in other media, you know, movies and film and video games too. Even video games used to be the same way.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially like arcade games. Oh man, gorgeous
yeah.
art on the side of the arcade, and then you got 16-bit, and you're like, this is not.
Oh yeah, completely different. So, sometimes for the better though. The old NES Mega Man, for example. Sometimes it was better without the cover, but yeah, you know, the cover it does impart certain expectations, but I think if you've been in the scene for any amount of time, and like, to be honest, comic book collectors are usually people that have been in the scene for quite a while. Like it's not exactly the most, you know, vibrant and youth oriented, you know, up and coming sort of scene. So I would think that enough people would be aware of the sort of tropes and pitfalls and memes that you know, even if they saw it in a brick and mortar, they'd be able to work their way around it. But I could be wrong. But that would be
It's
my
like
impression.
it's like a new thing, like in the culture. Like when I first got into comic books, I bought a cover, and they were like, "Oh, this is a variant cover, nice." And I was like, "I have no idea what that means." And he's like, "Oh, well, it's not drawn by the original artist." And I still don't understand what you mean. And he goes, "Well, it could be worth something." I'm like, "Oh, I sell these." It's just a whole. It's a different aspect of the culture that when you get into comics, you learn about it. Hey Matt, I gotta go, but I just want to say thanks for letting me come on and talk with all of you guys. You guys are all really cool cats.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure meeting you.
You have a nice day, man.
Cool. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Just wanted to kind of do something for about an hour and a half and hang out with some people. So thanks for hanging out. It's been an interesting week for I don't know, just another interesting week of comics. I've got, let me see if I can do this before we leave. I want to show you guys. Uh-oh. Is it working? Is it freezing? Oh, no. Yeah.
Fine. You're going into clear. I'm not getting technical issues on my end, so...
This is going to be weird.
Oh, God.
Oh, Mike. Can you see? Yeah. Okay.
Is that the nostalgia critic?
So I'm using my my phone to do the
That's
video.
just me.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Is it wrong
Classic.
though? I actually kind of liked the guy for a while. Anyway, I'm
Well,
sorry.
who
I'm
didn't?
distracted from
Yeah,
that.
he was. I mean, he was the original. He's the OG.
So Matt, what do you got for us here?
I got
Swag.
a poster. I got swag. So this is my flat swag. Sorry, I hope you don't get nauseous. So got 11 by 17 poster. Comes with every single book. So that's exciting. Every single book too.
I need to get up with you on the way you do your posters. I like it.
Yeah, invest in an inkjet printer, I think, is the best way to do it. You're going to save yourself a lot of money and just print them in-house. So that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
And I got a Cricut machine that can cut out cardstock, things of that sort. So I got a nice bookmark, and I
Nice.
it's backed with like nice gold, and I'm playing around with what to do on the back. But yeah, rounded edges and stuff like this. Like it's resilient. I got a sticker. There's like a sticker strip that I'm doing. So I commissioned artists to do that for the bookmark and the stickers, and then the book. And if I remember right, yep, I got so I'm doing like stamp kind of things. That's a sloppy one. This is like me just practicing, but an ex libris, like from the library of, so that you can kind of sign your name in there, say like this is my book. So I kind of gave people like a nice little frame to put their name in. It's just another way to personalize it. And then I remember, well, I haven't signed and drawn in this one yet, but I'm going to be signing and drawing in every one. And because my book's coming from Korea, it's going to take a couple months, so I have to. I got plenty of time to, at least with the book ones, which is what I was showing there. I have plenty of time to draw and sign these books and get the swag ready and get things, prepped. Because that's a whole big part of this too, right? Is swag's fun, but unless you're paying someone a lot of money to put these campaigns to actually fulfill them for you, you kind of have to work at it like a lot ahead of time, like months ahead of time, to make sure that you can actually handle, the fulfillment weekend, so it doesn't stretch into fulfillment week and fulfillment month.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Are,
me. Yeah.
sorry, are you doing plushies, Matt, or just the toasters?
I am the one who has a.
Yeah, no, I saw your plushie and I thought it was a great idea. Actually, I think everybody should be doing those plushies. Is that one of the characters in your comic book, Dalton?
Yes, that's actually one of the villains, the Boogeyman Bear.
Okay.
And what he does is he's kind of like the enforcer for the darkness. So picture him almost like a Darth Vader type role. And when there's a teddy protecting so when there's a teddy protecting a child in their nightlight, the darkness sends the Boogeyman Bear to basically dispatch of the teddy, and when he unstitches them, they just kind of join his collection on his back of other unstitched teddies.
Oh god, that sounds like the sort of thing my girlfriend would love. Do you sell those? Does that come with the comic, or do you sell those separately, or how would one get one of these plushies?
On Indiegogo for $150, you get the plushie, both covers, a mini print, and a poster.
Okay, I'll look into that. Nice.
Let me show that off real quick. Yeah, just down past. Man, you have so many good perks. Yeah, the Big Dreamer perk right here.
Yep. So you get 2 books, poster, mini print, and a bear. And the eyes, they glow in the dark, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So, glowing eyes might scare the cat, but would be cool though.
So I'm not doing plushies, but I am looking into for future campaigns. Do you guys know about Hero Forge?
I love using Hero Forge.
Yes.
I just wish I had more money to buy some of those they have like bronze figurines, and I know they have like the basic plastic ones, but sorry, I'm babbling. Yes, I know Hero Forge.
Yeah.
No, I don't,
It's
but
fantastic.
I feel like I should.
Yeah, you really should. If you're into tabletop gaming, like Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, and you any kind of thing that has original characters that you can play as, you can make your own miniatures that are I don't know how many millimeters. Like maybe they're like 1.5 inches at most.
Are they 3D printed then, or?
Yes, and they come
Yes.
unpainted. So, kind of part of the fun is painting them yourself.
Okay.
So,
do you know if they make the models available for like personal printing, or do you have to get them printed out from them?
Oh no, they have there's an option. if who's checking out this camera here, if you go to the add to cart option, they actually have, I think it's like around $8 where you can just download a copy of whatever figurine you've made in their platform there. And
It's like the STL or whatever it is.
Ooh.
I wouldn't know. I have never actually 3D printed something ever in my entire life.
Oh, you should. It's great fun if and when it works, which it usually doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole box of Warhammer figurines behind me, and I know they say, "Hey,
Oh,
we don't
God.
want you guys." Yeah. Let's just say I had a bit of extra pocket change as a kid that I probably should have invested better.
Yeah,
I have seen. That is one thing I've seen is people download the STL and they print at a larger size, for instance, so they can paint them in more detail, and so that is a thing you can do. So it's basically modular design. All these characters, they come. You've got a preset amount of poses, and you can do some amount of head and body, kind of dimensional. Like they just have some sliders, like as much as you would expect in, I don't know, like a early 2000s role playing game, and you can change their costumes. Like it's mix and match all the way up and down, but you're set with what they already have. There's basically, they've got like a samurai kind of kit. They've got Greco-Roman type stuff. They've got more of a fantasy element. They've got sci-fi slash. Do they have steam? Well, just like cyberpunk slash sci-fi kind of kit. And you just kind of mix and match and do what you want.
Yeah, because I actually was looking at Hero Forge on doing a possible Unstitched board game.
Ooh, yeah. That would be fun.
But
That would be fun.
then I also kind of realized there's a comic similar to Unstitched called Stuff of Legends, and actually they have a board game, and I'm like, I don't want to seem like I'm just trying to copy them.
Nah, I would say just go for it.
You could just offer like the figurines themselves too.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you happen to know? Do they have any kind of IP rules or anything to do with the things that you download off of Hero Forge? Like, would they get mad at you if you start printing out your own thing to sell based on their 3D models or anything of that sort? I mean, I wouldn't mind for my own personal use, but just
Absolutely.
in case.
I've never seen someone resell these, so that's one thing that I'm worried about. I don't know if there's something in a clause that everyone's picked up on for why they don't do it, or maybe they just haven't thought of it yet. But I haven't seen it resold.
I'd say you have to ask them directly. You'd have to get in contact with them about that, because that's really something you want to really like. And no offense to everyone here, I'm just saying that's like the sort of thing you really want to get straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a great. I mean, something like this. I mean, people have been dreaming about this sort of thing for years and years, and maybe sometimes using ZBrush or something to make their own stuff. But it's nice to just have a modular. I mean, this is going to handle honestly 90% of anyone's interests, especially at that size. Like a lot of these details are going to get lost anyway, especially after you paint them. So, doing something that's modular is probably going to handle most anything you're fine with. Unless you have unless you're going the wrong way around, I guess, like I would be doing, and first coming up with a character and then trying to make Hero Forge match my character. That's probably a dumb idea. But if you start with Hero Forge and just say, hey, what can I come up with, because I've got a tabletop game in a month and I would just want to make my character from this, like you're going to be pretty pleased. And it's $19.99, so $20 gets you your own miniature to paint that you designed. So I think something like that could be useful, whether it's making like an Unstitched board game, or just like hand painting and then selling at a premium if it's legal. Selling these as like, I don't know, just like a perk or like some sort of swag thing that people can opt in on. I think it's a fun idea, because the 3D side of things, like the flat swag is great, but obviously it's limiting, and the best part about it is that it's easy to ship. But the 3D stuff, I mean, there's nothing like getting a character you really like in 3D. So if there's some way to do it, I don't know. It's probably just a matter of letting the competitive marketplace kind of figure it out, and it's going to come. So.
Yeah, I mean that's always been something that I was thinking of getting into doing. For my own booths and things. The trouble is it's very, very difficult to print out models that detailed, especially like human figurines. So do you happen to know like what the quality of the prints are? Are there like examples online of how well they come out? Or?
Yeah,
it's like they have an exact measurement for the amount of detail. It's like 100 something.
Yeah, there's like the equivalent of DPI, right? That
Yeah, all right, those are pretty good. Because I mean, for me, I'd probably just get one just to sort of reverse engineer it and figure out how they got it to work so well.
Yeah, you can see, like, I mean, it's that's a little rough. Like you can tell there's a little bit of artifacting going on.
A little bit, but it's still pretty good. So
yeah. Given the size and given this is mass produced, here's someone who printed theirs out at a larger size. I think I would say that's a bit larger than what you're used to getting. Yeah.
Yeah, these things, from what I understand, I've never actually gotten one myself. But who here has like any sort of experience with like the Warhammer tabletop? It's in my impression that the miniatures are about roughly the size of like the base figurines for 40K.
okay.
That's just my impression.
Oh yeah, I think
they're around that size. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard about that. Like some people flipping out because they thought it was going to ruin 40K or something, or Scrubs were going to get in because they didn't have to pay as much money or something like that.
Believe me, you're definitely gonna need you probably need about as much money as it would take to make a decent army in 40K to set up the entire rig, like the printer, get the materials for it.
Oh yeah, doing it in house would be. I mean, the setup would be pretty expensive. Once you start going, if you can, if you can do the time and the labor required for it, then it would be pretty good. But the setup would be, if you're only doing it for Warhammer, it's probably not a good investment.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, unless you're really, really into Warhammer, in that case, go for it.
Yeah, but then you gotta be worried, because I think like Games Workshop got kind of uppity about that, to say the least.
Yeah, did they like ban it or something, or was there a story behind that? Or?
They certainly tried to, from what I remember, but I haven't been following enough to really say for sure.
That's terrible.
Well,
it
looks like
a
different stream, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like there's a Hero Forge 2.0 coming out, and you can get them colored too, which is incredible. I mean, that's I don't know if that's losing half the fun or making it twice as easy to go ahead and throw down money for this. But wow, yeah. So I guess you can select materials it's all plastic, but colored materials. That's revolutionary. Yeah, I can see why you'd want to shut that down. But if there's a way, like I kind of figure. I mean, here's the deal though. Everyone knows this is $19.99. So I can print these at $19.99 each, and I guess I could hand paint them and then sell them to you for something more than $19.99, or you could just make your own. Obviously, there's nothing proprietary about this. You can make your own and then you can paint it. So I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe Hero Forge isn't the way to go unless you're going to do something bigger, like the Unstitched board game or something, where it's part of a greater puzzle. You're not just selling someone Hero Forge stuff. Like you've got like a big kind of a concept going on, and these are just parts of that. So I don't know, but it's neat to see. I'm glad some people didn't know about this, because it's pretty awesome. Yeah, but I guess we'll say that's the stream for today.
I do have to ask one question though, before
please.
everyone goes.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind. So I just want a second. Oh, hey, thanks, Matthew. Really
There you
appreciate
go.
that. But one thing is, I don't know if who else has heard about this, and this might be a bit off topic. There actually have been some rumors circulating from Disney Star Wars that they're actually considering. I don't know who here is a Star Wars fan, but I just felt like it'd be an
Yes.
interesting thing to bring up.
I think I know what you're talking about.
That they're thinking of like, the episode 7, 8, and 9, Force Awakens and on. We're putting them in their entirely different canon. We're basically separating them out. There are rumors of they're basically rumors that they're trying to like decanonize the sequel movies.
Yes.
I doubt it so much. I don't know if it's true. I maybe I'm too cynical, but I just don't know if they want to do that.
I guess my question would be, are they just going to decanonize them, or is the plan to decanonize them and then make more that are worse? And then just keep doing that?
You know they're going to make more.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a very, very bad thing, especially coming from Disney. Like, it might sound good at first, but if Disney is saying it, I would be incredibly cautious.
Disney's not really saying it.
I'm sorry. The thing is, so the way they were going to do it is they introduced some in Star Wars Rebels animated show called like Force of the Veil or Veil of the Force, something like that, which kind of created this like little loophole of time travel in the Star Wars universe. So the theory is they would bring that to the movies, decanonize 7, 8, and 9 because of how bad it kind of panned. Or whatever for Disney, and Jon Favreau, who is doing like the Mandalorian and stuff, seems like he is, and it's also kind of rumored he's taking more of a in charge role of the Star Wars IP, and they're kind of like pushing Kathleen Kennedy out, or at least kind of putting pause on Star Wars until her contract runs out. Which is why they're not doing a Star Wars festival next year. They're going to be doing the next Star Wars festival in like 2022, not 2021, which you would expect because obviously 2020 was canceled because her contract ends next year. So it's like, let's just not do anything Star Wars related. Let's not have our anniversary little festival shindig at Disney. Wait for a contract, get out 2022, go, hey, by the way, we want to introduce Jon Favreau.
Huzzah.
I love your optimism.
Maybe that's why the coronavirus started. Maybe it wasn't a Chinese lab. Perhaps it was actually Disney that created it specifically so that they would have an excuse to shut down just in time to run out the clock on the current leadership there.
What is Lucas doing at his ranch? We don't know. I'm just saying.
We don't know, but he said he wants to do his original 3 movies that he did do a plot script for.
No. He oh my gosh. Like, that would be the greatest comeback in cinematic history.
I mean, he did give them a layout for it, 9, and Disney went, "Oh, this is nice, George. Yeah, we'll really use these, George." And then they like threw them in the trash can, and that's why like George has been less pleased with Disney, to say the least. I mean, he called them like white slave owners, I think, after like 8.
I still think about the white slave owners reference. That was pretty amazing.
What was that? I'm not familiar.
Oh, you didn't hear the white slavers dig?
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh
looking
Lord,
back.
what happened now?
Is that something
like
appropriate for a stream, or is it would it get you banned?
But I would love to get banned for quoting George Lucas.
It was yeah.
Oh,
God. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was like right after either Force Awakens came out. Yeah, Force Awakens had come out, and he called them white slavers or whatever because he was like, "This, I did this movie. This movie was the first movie I did. This was A New Hope. Y'all, you did nothing." And then, like, at the time, they were like, we're going to do a Star Wars movie every year. And he was like, no. No.
Yeah, that's back when those gentlemen who were running Game of Thrones, it's back when they were actually still popular. Huh. Oof.
Yeah.
That was 2016. Jeez.
Yeah.
God, it's like a lifetime ago.
I'm going to share audio. Let's see if this works. I'm just if I get struck for this, it's fine. It's only a few seconds, but
Just say I did it. They'll
Yeah.
believe it.
just blame it on Salty.
And you sold them. I sold them to the white slavers to take these things and
Okay. There you go.
Dang.
Yep. Yeah, that was
Microphone
amazing.
fault.
So, yeah. Yep. So yeah, if he comes around, I mean, I don't think that was appropriate because all they did was just not like his script treatment, and he has what, like a he's batting like a 3 out of 6 at that point in terms of writing good scripts for Star Wars. So
I would say,
Yeah.
like 4 out of 6 because, all right,
Okay.
a lot of people kind of didn't like Phantom Menace because of the whole Metachlorian thing. So like, took the whole spiritual, supernatural aspect out of the Force and made it more. It's a jam. Which I understand people didn't like that, but people love the infight with Qui-Gon versus like Darth Maul and stuff.
oh yeah,
And there were some good moments in it. People quite didn't like the Clone Wars, very heavy CGI and stuff. But just about everyone puts like Revenge of the Sith, or what is it? Yeah, Revenge of the
Revenge of
Sith.
the Sith, yeah.
Yep.
Revenge of the Sith.
They put that in like a top 3. So you go from like
That's
excellent. So, and I think a lot of it was just, he had at least a good progression story with Endo. So you go, okay, so you see Anakin young, you see Anakin cocky, you see Anakin go dark side. Cool. And that's a lot better than what the sequel trilogy did, because you don't really have a, what's the story arc? I don't know. Bad Empire. Bad Empire's gonna bad Empire, I guess.
The Empire's back, and now they're even stronger, but they lose even worse.
Yeah.
Yep. Soft reboot. Star Wars apparently doesn't have any new ideas.
Yeah.
So I mean, if George had someone to go, hey George, let's do like one more pass on the script. The story is great. There's a few dialogue issues that could use a few tweaks, like I don't like sand.
Yeah.
But,
I think it really, like, it comes back to what we've been talking about the past for this whole stream. Really, is like George's passion. Like when he failed, people still loved to critique him, and they still loved him in a way. And because it came out of his passion and his vision. And if he took risks that we didn't like, we still gave him credit for trying, I suppose. And it never felt like, I mean, it was a private. Star Wars was technically an indie film franchise until 2015. Like it was just privately owned. Like it was personal. Like he was just bankrolling it from his friends and people he was begging money for all of them. So like that really goes a long way. It has a charm factor in a way where it's this like idiosyncratic kind of strange vision that this one man who maybe made 3 out of 6 good movies, maybe made 4 good, I don't know, but I don't know. Like we love that. We love a hero that tries and fails and tries again, and I guess that's what he was. And then when he sells it off to Star Wars, I think a lot of people were excited about Disney, honestly, or at least tepid excitement, because they were thinking, well, he said he swore off making Star Wars, so we were done with Star Wars, and then he sells it, so now we're going to get more Star Wars, right? So that's exciting. And Disney's made some nice things. They made the Tron sequel, I think, just before then that people liked, and we thought like maybe they could do something interesting, and he was going to have a part to play. And then suddenly the White Slavers thing happened, and then and then we just realized they didn't either know or care about Star Wars. They just wanted to soft reboot it in different ways. I guess that's my impression. They just wanted to kind of mine the original trilogy for themes to recapture for a new generation, and it fell flat because we always want a face behind. That's kind of like, it's funny, like making stories, making these comics, making Unstitched, making KYRIE, making Entity. It just feels like it's just a book on the wall unless you get to know the creator, I guess, and you get to know like the person's eccentric particular personality, I guess, and that kind of endears you, you know. So I think like the fact that Star Wars always had a face behind it, a particular person, and it wasn't just a corporate entity face. It wasn't just the CEO. It was like a dude who just dreamt the stuff up before he was famous and before there was any money involved, and he was seeing it through for 30 years. Like, that really meant a lot to people. So I guess the same thing can go for comics and crowdfunding, I suppose.
You know what?
I think
with you mentioning the whole face thing, kind of makes me wonder if that's also one of like the appeals of like Quentin Tarantino, because he does a small cameo in just about all of his films. So, you know, like some of the earlier stuff like Reservoir Dogs and like Pulp Fiction, boom, you saw like not just his name as Quentin Tarantino directed Pulp Fiction, you saw him in the movie. So you got a little bit more attached to him as a director because he was in the movie. Wonder if that, you know.
I have a quick question. Was Quentin Tarantino, because I just want to think, make sure I got the right person here. I mix up people all the time. He did Django Unchained too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he was the guy
many
getting
things.
blown
Yeah.
up. Wonderful. I know. Okay, I know who I'm thinking of now.
He was the Australian dude who got blown up.
Yeah.
he has a habit of doing that in his movies, getting himself killed in horrible ways. It's very endearing.
It's a great way to be like, I'm in the movie, I'm out the movie, real quick.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And it's kind of like memeing himself in a way, which I appreciate. Like, unlike maybe like M. Night Shyamalan kind of puts himself in there, and it kind of feels like, you know, he's always kind of like a cool background figure.
Does he? I never realized that.
Oh yeah. He does the Hitchcock thing too, but he's always like, "Oh, I'm here with my girlfriend buying a ring," or I'm the cool, down to earth kind of sheriff's department dude who's you know, taking your questions. It's kind of like
well, just real quick, because before we get too far off the topic, I just wanted to add something to what Matt was saying, because I think that was some very good points that you brought up. It was a good way to sort of encapsulate the episode, and there's actually a lot that I could say on this particular subject, as you could probably tell from my username and my avatar. I am a big fan of enthusiastic failures, I guess you could say. You know, creators who put themselves out there and wind up screwing. Yeah, I actually met him once, and it was great.
Wow.
And I love Sonichu so much. But
I would buy his merch for sure.
Oh yeah, well actually I was trying to get him hooked up with some merch people, but at some other time we'd have to. That would have to be an entirely different discussion.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have a Sonichu stream. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'll come on for that. But just in relation to what we were talking about, I think you could say, you know, if you're going to fail, at least fail boldly, right? Yes. You know, put yourself out there, do the crazy thing, get your plushies and your extra, you know, covers and you know, your 3D holographic One Punch Man people wearing the Opie hoodies, and you know, just do it, just throw it out there, and if you screw up, at least people will remember you. Because that's, you know, the Star Wars thing, like that's something that always struck me about the sort of the prequel trilogy versus the sequel trilogy, or whatever, the new trilogy, whatever they call it, because people hated both of them. But the prequel trilogy is the one that people love to hate. You know, it's the one that you remember, the one that gets memed. It's objectively, it's probably worse than the new trilogy. But it was. I liked episode 8, actually. Fight me. But no, The point is that it was horrible, but it was horrible in a very memorable way, and because of that, that personality and that energy and that feeling of trying, like Disney, it just felt like okay, you know what, they just threw it out there and whatever. But the prequels still had that spark of, like the people behind it, they're really trying to get your attention, they really care, they really want this to be good. It's not just a bunch of businessmen sitting around in a table like, what's the Chinese market? They'll buy anything, just put it out, that kind of stuff. So even if you fail, boldly, people will remember you, hopefully, or they'll at least remember you a little bit more than if you didn't. Because honestly, like if you look on like DeviantArt or something, Chris Chan, like if you ever meet him in person, he's not that much different from people that I've met just daily life. But because of how bold he is, and because of how willing he is to put himself out there and make himself known and invite people into his world, that's why people remember him. It's not the crap art or the silly stories or the weird eccentricities. I mean, that's part of it. That's why he gets the reaction he does. But the reason he gets a reaction in the first place is because he's very bold and he puts himself out there, and he's confident in what he does, even though it's misplaced confidence in his case. Or maybe it's not misplaced confidence, because it does get you somewhere. It might not be the place that you expected, but just if that makes any sense.
It's very earnest, and that really means, like, this is something I always kind of circle back to, is at the end of the day, like, people think this is controversial sometimes because they're like, well, why are people buying these books, and this campaign reached $20,000 and the art isn't that good? Like, you're missing the point. It's the earnestness that sells the comic. And if people maybe they're buying a YouTuber's show, they're buying their content in terms of like watching their show and just hanging out and enjoying what this guy or gal has to say. And they're a really fun person, and you just want to support what they do and give them a shout out with maybe $20 for a book plus $10 shipping, and maybe you do that once a year. I think that's a phenomenal, like, it's a very healthy, natural transaction, because it's a very human sort of thing to do. You're, at the end of the day, you're just saying, I see a person that I like. I like the cut of their jib, so I'm going to spend money in their direction because they've endeared themselves to me, And I don't think there's anything misleading about that. I don't think there's I don't know. Maybe if they're doing too many variant covers, maybe that's not cool.
Right. And that's why it's okay to be a simp for Belle Delphine, in conclusion. Earnestness.
All the way back.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yes. Oh, I should have had that in the deck. I should have had that ready. It's like poetry. It rhymes. So anyway, thanks. Thanks guys for hanging out with me. I didn't know if anyone would hang out with Corey and I as we chilled. I thought it was just going to be him and I, but I really appreciate I just kind of threw it out there, and we got like a chill stream. We were actually talking before we started about like, how do you find other artists? How do you draw with other artists? How do you kind of engage with the community and get to know people, and talk shop and kind of get like live feedback on how you're doing on things. And I think this is why I invited Corey on, because, and I did the live mic, open mic kind of thing, because I think this is like one of the best ways you can kind of learn the scene, learn what works, what doesn't. You get feedback in real time by just kind of throwing out ideas, and people in the chat will tell you it's stupid. Fitzpacker, thanks for hanging out with us. But anyway, yep. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead and hit in broadcast, and thanks again, guys. I do this once a week. I normally do this on Mondays. Today I did it Sunday. But anyway, talk to you guys later.
Nice talking to you
All right.
guys.